Nigeria are only using average of 8 kilograms per hectare of fertilizer as compared to roughly 30 kilograms per hectare in Kenya and 190 kilograms per hectare in Brazil.
Matsalolin samun takin zamani a gwamnatance a wannan yanki namu yana zama mana da matsala sakamakon ba kowa yake da karfin da zai samu takin ba kuma yana zama mana idan baka da uwa a gindin murhu wato baka da kansila ko wani makamancin haka ba zai zama mana da matsalar samun takin sannan kuma gashi a kasuwar ma idan ka je zaka same shi a 50 kg yana sa mai karamin karfi ba zai iya samun takin da zai iya amfani da shi a wannan shekarar ba. Muna da matsala ta nisan wuri tsakaninmu da guraren da za mu je mu sayo wannan taki ya kai kilomita 12 sannan ga hanyar mu ba ta da kyau idan ka tafi ma ba tabbacin ka je ka samu a ranar ka je ka dawo sannan ga na kasuwar ma ba shi da inganci wanda za mu auno mu zo mu yi aiki kuma ana bukatar ilimi akan harkar noman zamani amma gaskiya mu nan yankin ma ba mu taɓa ganin malamin gona.
One Nigerian fertilizer company is helping farmers to deal with these challenges. Notore Chemical Industries Limited, previously the government-owned NAFCON, is now a 100% privately owned Nigerian fertilizer company. In 2010, they sold top-quality fertilizers in small packs in 150 communities across Nigeria. By providing training to farmers from the rural retailers, farmers are also getting the knowledge they need on how to correctly apply the fertilizer.
We receive training by Notore Chemical Industries companies to become a village promoter, that is BP. We also sell fertilizer 1 kg system at afford price. Notore also train us on the way how to use fertilizer in our farm in order to educate people. So they tell us that the day of planting, the day of putting fertilizer. When you dig a hole, put a seed at one side and put a seed in other side at the same hole, then close it. That is the best way of applying the fertilizer. The second way is that if you don't have time to put it the day of planting, then after 10 to 14 days, you come and dig a hole between spacing so that you will put your fertilizer and close the hole. That is the second way. I trained 16 farmers. They have seen improvement in their crops. I will train more and supply more to the farmers during this coming wet season.
Malam Haruna PP ya gayyace ni zuwa gonar gwaji. Mun samu ilimi, mun samu taki a gurinsa da sauki ba sai mun aiki ƴaƴanmu sun siyo mana ba. Shuka kwaya ɗaya da murfin kwalban lemo ɗaya na taki kuma na sa na rufe ta yi girma sosai ta yi girma ta yi babban kwaya. Ina samun buhu 4 yanzu na samu buhu 6. Na samu ƙarin yawan kuɗi wanda ya fi na bara domin in sai takin da ifi na bara in haɓaka noma na.
Ni ma na gani takin nan da ake gwadawa a makwabtanmu suna sayarwa zan yi kokari in je in saye shi wannan na kilo ɗaiɗai domin in gwada a gonata don gaskiya mun gaji da gafara sa ba mu ga ƙaho ba ma'ana za a bamu amma har da mana ta wuce ba za a bamu.
Nigerian smallholder farmers number over 14 million out of the country's 150 million citizens. On average, they only get about 16 bags of maize per hectare, whereas farmers in South Africa get an average of 88 bags per hectare. Why is this so? One reason is that smallholder farmers in Nigeria are only using average of 8 kg per hectare of fertilizer as compared to roughly 30 kg per hectare in Kenya and 190 kg per hectare in Brazil.
Matsalolin samun takin zamani a gwamnatance a wannan yanki namu yana zama mana da matsala sakamakon ba kowa yake da karfin da zai samu takin ba, kuma yayin zama mana idan baka da uwa a gindin murhu, wato baka da kansila ko wani makamancin haka, ba zai zama mana da matsalar samun takin. Sannan kuma gashi a kasuwar ma idan ka je zaka same shi a 50 kg, yana sa mai karamin karfi ba zai iya samun takin da zai iya amfani da shi a wannan shekara ba. Muna da matsala ta nisan wuri tsakaninmu da guraren da zamu je mu sayo wannan taki ya kai kilomita 12, sannan ga hanyar mu ba ta da kyau, idan ka tafi ma ba tabbacin ka je ka samu a ranar ka je ka dawo. Sannan ga na kasuwar ma ba shi da inganci wanda za mu auno mu zo mu yi aiki, kuma ana bukatar ilimi akan harkar noman zamani, amma gaskiya mu nan yankin ma ba mu taɓa ganin malamin gona.
One Nigerian fertilizer company is helping farmers to deal with these challenges. Notore Chemical Industries Limited, previously the government-owned NAFCON, is now a 100% privately owned Nigerian fertilizer company. In 2010, they sold top-quality fertilizers in small packs in 150 communities across Nigeria. By providing training to farmers from the rural retailers, farmers are also getting the knowledge they need on how to correctly apply the fertilizer.
We receive training by Notore Chemical Industries companies to become a village promoter, that is BP. We also sell fertilizer 1 kg system at afford price. Notore also train us on the way how to use fertilizer in our farm in order to educate people. So they tell us that the day of planting, the day of putting fertilizer, when you dig a hole, put a seed at one side and put a seed in other side at the same hole, then close it. That is the best way of applying the fertilizer. The second way is that if you don't have time to put it the day of planting, then after 10 to 14 days, you come and dig a hole between spaces so that you will put your fertilizer and close the hole. That is the second way. I trained 16 farmers. They have seen improvement in their crops. I will train more and supply more to the farmers during this coming wet season.
Malam Haruna PB ya gayyace ni zuwa gonar gwaji. Mun samu ilimi, mun samu taki a gurinsa da sauki, ba sai mun aiki ƴaƴanmu sun siyo mana ba. Shuka kwaya ɗaya da murfin kwalban lemo ɗaya na taki, kuma na sa na rufe, ta yi girma sosai, ta yi girma, ta yi babban kwaya. Ina samun buhu 4, yanzu na samu buhu 6. Na samu ƙarin yawan kuɗi wanda ya fi na bara, domin in sai takin da ifi na bara in haɓaka noma na.
Ni ma na gani takin nan da ake gwadawa a makwabtanmu suna sayarwa, zan yi kokari in je in saye shi wannan na kilo ɗaiɗai domin in gwada a gonata. Don gaskiya mun gaji da gafara sa ba mu ga kaho ba, ma'ana za a bamu amma har da mana ta wuce ba za a bamu.
please rise for the national anthem.
Well, let's have the opening prayers. And that will be taken by Ahaja Kudaishi. Do we need to stand up?
Shall we pray? I want to pray in the mighty name of Allah. As we are about to start this meeting, may God take preeminent control of this meeting for us, so that all that will be said shall be for the improvement of this our great company. May God be with our directors, give them divine wisdom and direction, which we to direct the affairs of this company always. May God give them good health. The shareholders I pray for, may God bless all of us and allow us to live long so that we will reap the fruit of our labor. All this and more I ask for in the mighty name of Allah. I also pray for Nigeria, for the insecurity in and around Nigeria. May God take control for us. Amen. May God protect us. May God guide all of us. All this and more I ask for in the mighty name of Allah. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahmanir Rahim. Maliki Yawmiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Ihdina siratal mustaqim. Siratal ladzina an'amta alaihim ghayril maghdubi alaihim waladdallin. Amen.
Thank you. I would like to welcome distinguished shareholders, proxies, and observers to the 8th Annual General Meeting of Notore Chemical Industry PSC. To ensure that the restriction on mass gatherings are maintained, the meeting is being held by proxy and in accordance with the Corporate Affairs Commission, CAC, or the Commission, guidelines on holding of annual general meetings of public companies. The necessary approval was duly obtained from the Commission, so we to notify you that meeting is being streamed live. For all our shareholders, stakeholders, regulators, and observers who are not physically present for the meeting, we also wish to assure everybody that we will observe all the social distancing limitations or gathering requirements, and the proceedings for the meeting will be conducted in a timely manner. So I want to introduce So I want to introduce the directors as follows. To my immediate right, the Group Managing Director, CEO, that is Mr. Ohimeri. Thank you. To my left, the Deputy Managing Director, I call him occasionally E squared. That is Ebiano Emafo, sorry. And to my immediate left, our amiable, hard-working group company secretary, Mrs. Otivo Sani. In line with approval, then to the next person beside or his immediate right, I'm sure, Cheye Hamon, non-executive director, will forgive me. And I've introduced you already, immediate left. Then, after the deputy group managing director, we have Mr. Jonathan Yusuf Pam, the man from the Plateau. Correct? That's right. In line with the approval received from CAC for the holding of this meeting by proxy, we have the mandate of the following directors appointing the CEO, Mr. Ohis Ohiwere, as their representative at this meeting. They are Mr. Onajite Okoloko, the non-executive director, Mr. Mike Osibe, the non-executive director, Mr. Ike Osakwe, the non-executive director, Mr. Femi Agbaje, the non-executive director, and Mr. Ovie Ukiri, the non-executive director. Next, I would like to introduce Mr. Deloitte Touch, the auditors of the company, and the external auditors of the company represented by Mr. Abraham Udenani and Mr. Ifeanyi Ogala. Mr. Abraham Udenani, no, it's two of them, no. Sorry? Okay. Next, I would like to introduce Messrs. I've done that already. We have Mr. Mubashiru Abdulaziz, a shareholder representative and member of the statutory audit committee of our company. Can you start to recognize, please? Yes. You've done that. Thank you. Then, Mrs. Maisan Kofi Shenaya, representing Data Max Registrars Limited. Then, Mr. Bonaventure Owuji, representing the Nigerian Exchange Limited, formerly Nigerian Stock Exchange. These people okay. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. SEC, not SEC and CAC, they are not physically represented, correct? Yeah. We have already been informed by the CAC that they will be attending the meeting via the live stream. I would like to introduce the following distinguished shareholders present and acting as proxy for all other shareholders of the company who could not physically be present at this meeting in line with the CAC guideline. We have Sir Sonny Wonsu. We have Mr. Sheyi Odeinde. We have Mr. Makajola Abdul Liekini. We have Mr. William Adebayo. We have Mr. Moses Igude. We have M.S. Juliet Bakat. We have Mr. Olubonshu Ariyo. We have Akintude Adiola. We have Ejina Binuya Sharafa. We have Mr. Kenneth Wosu. We have Kudaishi Ayodele. We have Samiyad Adebanke. We have Olaiwola Tabun. We have Mr. Giwa Olaleka. I'm sure I must have covered everybody. I welcome you and thank you all for being here today. I will now call on MS Olufela Olatoye Shoshan to give us a safety briefing.
Welcome to the 8th Annual General Meeting of Notore Chemical Industries PLC. I am Olufela Olatoye Shoshan, and I will be taking you through the health, safety, and environment briefing. The emergency exits in this hall are located to my left, next to the stage, to the rear of the building, at the right, and smack in the middle, on the right as well. Should there be an emergency, an alarm will be activated, and all activities at that time must be suspended immediately. Everyone except the emergency response team must report to the designated muster points located in the car parking lot outside of this building. At that point, a head count will be taken. The emergency team on ground will assist you with directions to the muster points. To ensure your safety, the number of people present at this meeting has been restricted to a maximum of 50 people, which is less than 50% of this hall's capacity. Social distancing has also been enforced in the seating arrangements, and adequate space has been maintained between individuals. The body temperature of everyone attending this meeting was taken before admission. No one had a temperature over 38 degrees centigrade. The use of alcohol-based sanitizers was also enforced prior to admission into the venue, and subsequently distributed to all attendees for periodical use during the meeting. We have provided face masks to all attendees upon arrival at the meeting, and its use is a prerequisite for admission. The face mask is to be worn for the duration of this meeting. Please ensure that they are worn properly over your mouth and nose and not over your chin. Face shields should not be used alone. If in use, it must be used over a properly worn face mask. Lastly, please ensure that your mobile devices are either turned off or put on silent for the duration of this meeting. Welcome once again, and let's have a successful meeting. Thank you very much.
The briefing. I think we can do better because safety is very important. Thank you. As you know very well, Notore is a responsible corporate organization. And in line with the current circumstances and the restriction of mass gathering, I can confirm that the temperature of all attendees was checked prior to admission, and all measures to ensure adequate social distancing were put in place. We have also provided face masks, of course mine is here, to all attendees, which must be worn at all times for the duration of the meeting. We have also obtained the details of all present for contact tracing if necessary. We pray we don't have need for that in Jesus' name. Amen. Furthermore, please be advised that the meeting is being streamlined for other stakeholders. To observe today's meeting and for ease of today's proceedings, voting will be by the use of the voting pads as provided by the registrar. The company's Articles of Association, Section 256, subsection 2 of the Companies and Allied Matters Act, CAMA 2020, provide that the presence in person or by proxy of 1/3 of the total number of members of the company, or 25 members, whichever is less, shall be a quorum at a properly convened meeting. In determining the quorum, all proxies shall be counted, and I call upon this company secretary to confirm if there's a quorum.
From the information received from the registrars, Datamax registrars, I can confirm that a quorum has been formed. We have a total number of 217 shareholders that are present here today in person or by proxy.
Thank you. Further to the confirmation by the group company secretary that the quorum has been formed and the AGM is duly convened and properly constituted, I hereby declare the meeting open. I welcome you all once again to the 8th annual general meeting of Notore Chemicals Industry PLC. In accordance with the provisions of the Companies and Allied Matters Act 2020, the register of shareholders is available for inspection. The register of shareholders, the register of directors shareholding is equally available for inspection during the meeting in compliance with section 301, subsection 8 of the Companies and Allied Matters Act 2020. In accordance with section 284, subsection 2 of the Company and Allied Matters Act 2020, the register of directors' attendance at meetings is available for inspection during this meeting. I would now like to call on the group company secretary to read the notice convening the AGM. Secretary, please.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the notice of annual general meeting of Notore Chemical Industries PLC
Notice is hereby given that the 8th Annual General Meeting of Notore Chemical Industries PLC will hold at the external ballroom hall, Federal Palace Hotel, 6 to 8 Hamadu Bello Way, Victoria Island, Lagos, on Friday, 27th May 2022 at 11 a.m. prompt, to transact the following business. Ordinary business. A, to lay before members the audited financial statements of the company and of the group for the year ended 31st December 2021, together with the reports of the directors, auditors, and statutory audit committee thereon. Second agenda item, to reappoint Messrs. Deloitte and Touche as the company's external auditors. C, to authorize the directors of the company to fix the remuneration of the auditors of the external auditors. D, to ratify the appointment of Mr. Ibiahon Emafo as an executive director of the company. E, to re-elect the following directors who, in accordance with Section 285, subsection 2 of the Companies and Allied Matters Act 2020, are retiring by rotation but are eligible and have offered themselves for re-election. 1, Mr. Onajite Okolopo. 2, Mr. Mike Jansa. 3, Mr. Michael Osime. And 4, Mr. Obi Ukiri. The profiles of the above mentioned directors are available in the annual report and on the company's website at www.notore.com. F, to disclose the remuneration of managers in accordance with Section 257 of CAMA. And G, to elect the shareholder representatives of the Statutory Audit Committee. Dated the 28th day of April 2022 by order of the board, Company Secretary. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I believe you've all read the statement for the Board of Directors on pages 13 to 14 of the 2021 annual report. I will not require that I read this now. However, should you wish that it be read, I will proceed to do so. Thank you. As we proceed with the meeting, any members who wishes to speak on any of the items on the agenda should please indicate by raising his or her hand. And when you are called upon, kindly walk towards the dedicated microphone located on either side of the room, or in the alternative, a moving microphone will be handed over to you. To facilitate a smooth conduct of the business of the day, I will move each motion. I then invite seconders for each motion from the floor. The seconders are kindly requested to state their full names to enable the company secretary to take proper note of the names. Thereafter, members will be required to timely indicate their vote on the voting pad. Within the 15 seconds provided to allow for easy counting of the votes, inclusive of the proxy forms received, the following process will apply. 1, members are to signify by voting accordingly using electronic voting pads. 2, the registrars will announce the results of the votes cast. 3, depending on the number of votes recorded and as announced by the registrars, I will declare that the motion has been duly carried or has not been duly carried. I would now like to ask the registrars to give a brief explanation on the use of the voting pads. The registrars, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Datamax has put a presentation on the use of the voting pads. Most of the shareholders here are actually used to it, but I'll still implore you to please listen carefully. Thank you.
Welcome. This video is on how to use the electronic voting pad device. Voting pad usage instructions. Please note that the device is only required during the voting session of this meeting. How to use the voting device. Press the Sign In button to activate the voting device. When the status indicator flashes red, the device is ready for use. Press the Yes button to vote in favor of a resolution, or press the No button to vote against a resolution. Only press the ABS button if you do not wish to vote on a resolution. Please press only one of the buttons to cast your vote. You have only 1 minute to vote for each resolution. However, if you press the Yes or No button more than once, the last button pressed before the end of the voting period will be registered as your vote. Please return the e-voting devices to the ushers after the voting session has been concluded. An alarm will be triggered at the exit points if you still have the voting device with you when you leave the meeting hall. Kindly check your pocket and bag to ensure that the device is returned.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That will be all.
Thank you very much. For purpose of complete, is there any shareholder here that is not having the voting pad? None. Thank you. I will now proceed with the business of the meeting. There are several matters on the agenda that require shareholders' approval. The first item for consideration at the meeting is the presentation of the audited financial statements of the company for the year ended 31st December 2021. Together with the directors and auditors' reports thereon, copies of which have been previously circulated to shareholders. Is that correct? Yes? Thank you. I now lay before you the annual financial statement of the company and of the group for the financial year ended 31st December 2021. In accordance with the provisions of section 388, subsection 1 of the Companies and Allied Matters Act 2020 and the Company's Article of Association. In accordance with section 388, subsection 2 of the Companies and Allied Matters Act 2020, I hereby invite the representative of the external auditors, Mr. Abraham Udenani, to read the report of the external auditors. Mr. Udenani, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The independent auditor's report is found on pages 44 through 47 of the annual report. Pages 44 through 47 of the annual report. Mr. Chairman, members of the Board of Directors, regulatory authorities here present and online, distinguished shareholders here present and online, ladies and gentlemen, please may I crave your indulgence to read certain paragraphs of this report. We have audited the consolidated and separate financial statements of Notore Chemical Industries PLC and its subsidiaries, the group and the company, set out on pages 49 to 119, which comprise the consolidated and separate statement of financial position as at 31st December 2021, and the consolidated and separate statement of profit or loss and other comprehensive income, consolidated and separate statement of changes in equity, and consolidated and separate statement of cash flows for the period then ended. The note to the consolidated and separate financial statements, including a summary of significant accounting policies. In our opinion, the consolidated and separate financial statements give a true and fair view of the consolidated and separate financial position of Notore Chemical Industries PLC as at 31st December 2021, and its consolidated and separate financial performance and consolidated and separate cash flows for the period then ended in accordance with International Financial Reporting Standards, the requirements of the Companies and Allied Matters Act, and Financial Reporting Council Act 2011. We conducted our audit in accordance with international standards on auditing. Our responsibilities under those standards are further described in the auditor's responsibilities for the audit of the financial statements section of our report. We are independent of the group and the company in accordance with the requirements of ISBAC Code and other independence requirements applicable to performing audits of financial statements in Nigeria. We have fulfilled our other ethical responsibilities in accordance with the ISBAC Code and other ethical requirements that are relevant to our audit of consolidated financial statements in Nigeria. We believe that the audit evidence we have obtained is sufficient and appropriate to provide a basis for our opinion. Please join me to turn to page 47. Report on other legal and regulatory requirements. In accordance with the 5th schedule of Companies and Allied Matters Act 2020, we expressly state that we have obtained all the information and explanation which, to the best of our knowledge and belief, were necessary for the purpose of our audit. The group has kept proper books of account so far as appears from our examination of those books. The group and company's financial position and its statement of profit or loss and other comprehensive income are in agreement with the books of accounts and returns. Signed by my humble self, Abraham Udenani, for Deloitte & Touche on the 8th day of April 2022. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I think we can do better than that. Thank you. I now invite Mr. Mubashiru Abdulaziz, a member of the Statutory Audit Committee, to present the report of the Audit Committee for the year ended 31st December 2021 on behalf of the Chairman. The report can be found on page 43 of the 2021 annual report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
23.
I am here to report of Audit Committee in accordance with the provisions of Section 404(7) of the Companies and Allied Matters Act 2020. The members of the Audit Committee of Notore Chemical Industries PLC hereby report as follows. We have exercised our functions under Section 404(7) of the Companies and Allied Matters Act 2020. And we acknowledge the cooperation of management and staff in the conduct of these responsibilities. We confirm that the accounting and reporting policies of the group are consistent with the legal requirements and ethical practices. The internal audit programs are extensive and provide a satisfactory evaluation of the efficiency of the internal control systems. We have considered the independent auditors' post-audit report and management responses thereon and are satisfied thereto. The members of the audit committee is Mr. Ike Oshake, Chairman, Engineer Mike Orugbo, Non-Executive Director, Alhaji Ali Yusuf Ali, Shareholders Representative, Mr. Mubashir Abdul Aziz, Shareholders Representative, Alhaji Kamilu Haske, Shareholder Representative, signed by Mr. Ike Oshake, Chairman, on 7 April 2022. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mubashir. At this point, under questions and answers, the director shall be pleased. Question? Question? No, but I want to give guideline for question first. Yes. I want to give guideline for question. Thank you. At this point, the director shall be pleased to answer any questions you may have on the report and financial statement. Observation or point of order? No, I'm not ready. Yes. Lord, I will call you. I'm not through yet. Thank you. I hereby request that if questions are being asked on the annual reports and accounts, speakers should make appropriate reference to the relevant pages to ensure that the right answers are provided. In addition, it will be helpful if members are brief, and I know people will be brief. I'll restrict their questions or comments to one or two at a time to afford others the opportunity to speak. We will take notes of all questions and respond to them at the end. 2, yes. 3, 4, 5. Okay. Do not forget to introduce yourself. And you have to be brief with specific reference to the page.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. The name is William Sadibayo. Good morning, other directors, and good morning, every shareholder. Mr. Chairman, today is the only day that your shareholders have the grace to address this board. So you will give us every necessary patience to get our message across.
I hope you're not a lawyer. You know, lawyers, with apology to the lawyers, yeah, they like long sentences so that the bill will be high.
No,
since you are not one,
it will be brief.
Okay, fine.
Why it will be brief is that all of us at this area.
Thank you. You have promised that it will be brief.
It will be brief.
Fire on.
We realize the fact that over 3 decades, every government enterprises that have been privatized to the public always faced problems of bureaucracy, upgrading, rehabilitation, because the spirit of commercialization is not with the government. These are some of the problems that this board faces. For over 15 months, this board has undertaken a turnaround program that has consumed a lot of money. And we appreciate the fact that it is necessary because it's going to affect our bottom line, and it's also necessary to put us into profitability. For that period of 15 months, you have been upgrading, you have been rehabilitating, and to the glory of God, we have seen the effects, as can be seen on page 9. That is financial.
I thought you were going to clap for the management for that.
Please give them a round of applause. Actually, you deserve it. Because for over 3 decades, this has been the experience of shareholders that use their hard-earned money to buy into privatized government establishments. But since you have done this and we have seen the result, you deserve a round of applause. As the chairman, also today, it is important that with the lot of debt we have owed and the magnitude of this business, we should be able to tell you the noble truth. Page 34 to 37. That is attendance on the board. If you look at the attendance at meetings, honestly, I must be sincere with you, it has to improve, considering the magnitude of this business and to show every spirit of commercialization. From page 34 to 37. Messrs. Bashiru Lebada must be ready to serve on those meetings that has been elected to. If he cannot create time to serve, he should be able to give us an alternate director that will be representing him. Look at those meetings from 34 to 37. He should be able to send an alternate director. If the essence of commercialization and profitability must reflect, we must work on attendance at meeting. Page 116. I told you I'll be brief. Page 116, if you look at the investment in subsidiary, Mr. Chairman, our experience as shareholders have shown that it is important that you give a reflection of your investment and utilization of funds on your subsidiaries, because it will give us a proper appraisal of those subsidiaries. If they are performing, we'll know. If you are just pumping money there without performance, we'll know. So that none of those subsidiaries will appear as a drain. Because as the business continues to grow wide, it is important that you show us these things. I have also seen the statement of the group chief executive officer from page 14 to 16. It has shown profitability. It has shown increase in revenue. And to the glory of God, it has shown that our rice plantation has recorded massive gain. It is our intention that with that massive gain that we have recorded on the rice plantation, as we look into the second phase, we'll be able to get more money to do this business. Today also, as shareholders, we are interested to know what we've been able to gain from the energy sector, because we realize you have injected money into it. And we know definitely the essence of diversification will bring in more money. Today also, I want us to use this avenue to send our appreciation to the former head of state of this country, who has served on this board as a chairman. We wish him success in other further endeavors. Mr. Chairman, today, as we all gather here, I want to thank this board too, that you have revealed yourself as a listening board. Most of the items we brought forward last meeting, you followed it to the letter. So today, if you look at page 26, it shows the list of distributors that you have. But in order to gain from this distributor, it is important that you give them award. You must give them award so they work more to get you more capital. If you don't give distributors award, their spirits won't go up to make more money for you. You need to give them more award. You need to make them realize that profitability is something they should work for. Because at the end of the day, their performance will affect trade receivables. Some of them will hold your money if you don't give them award. They won't pay on time. They'll be selling and they won't give you money on time. But if they know at the end of every financial year, they are entitled to awards, sound financial awards. They will pay on time and you have money to do business. Mr. Chairman, today, I will not deceive you. And going further, we will be expecting this board to show us accounts of subsidiary. Because we know that this board is a board of achievers. You have done well. Mr. Chairman, also, today, we want to go home with the fact that the level of debt restructure that you have done and that you will done to clear our books. You must tell us these things. The majority shareholder may not tell you this, but the minority shareholder that has used their hard-earned money to buy into this company will ask you, how do you want to reschedule this debt? Is it by bond issuance? Is it by raising of more capitals? These are the things, questions that we want to go home with. Because we know that you are a board of achievers. And we trust you. Also, Mr. Chairman, today...
Rounding up?
Yes, yes. Today, without wasting your time, I must commend each director that has performed very well. As I commend each of these directors, I will not include Bashiru Lebada because of his performance on those boards. I will not include him. Also, let me use this junction to thank the office of the company secretary. She has tried, she has worked assiduously to make sure every shareholder association is present here. Thank you for the opportunity given. God bless you.
Thank you very, very much. I move to my left now. I thought I saw a lady that wanted to say something. Yes, so they don't accuse me. I'll come back to you. And the first one spoke eloquently. And I know you will be brief. He promised to be brief. But he will improve on his own.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning once again to everybody in this hall. Mr. Chairman, I'll try to be brief. On your mission statement, which is, yes, I read, to be the #1 company by market share and profitability in our chosen businesses and a significant contributor to the development of Africa. That's the mission statement on page, on page 8. Yes, page 8. Mr. Chairman, my take on this, given this your statement, I underline the word development of Africa. How many African countries, especially West Africa, have we taken our product to? If not, none yet, I enjoin us to start thinking in that direction so that we can conform with these very vision statements. Now, at the foreign exchange we shall be making through this exercise will assist in cushioning our forest deficit. We shall take advantage of Ukraine and Russia war to reach out to Africa with our products. It's very important, Mr. Chairman. On page 9, Mr. Chairman, the diluted basic earning has gone minus 42%. This is not a cheering news at all. And I was just wondering what we have to do to quickly reverse that. Mr. Chairman, all the same, where there is positive, there must be negative. I want to congratulate you on the turnaround maintenance exercise, which actually changed our year-end now. Hopefully, soonest possible time, dividends should be rolling out from that particular exercise. On our corporate governance, earlier speaker has spoken on that. It's not encouraging at all. And we need to, when you take the job of being a board member, it's a serious business, and you have to take it very seriously. When you take that job and you sign for it, you just have to find a way to attend your meetings. If you don't attend your meetings, I wonder what contribution you'll be making towards the development of the company and all that. So we need to talk to our directors in-house. When we get back to the drawing board, we need to ginger them up to make sure they find time to attend their meeting. It is very important. Mr. Chairman, how are we deepening more our distribution system so as to make it easier for the farmers to access our products? There was a jingle that was being played here earlier on. So based on that, I want to employ us, just like the earlier speaker have said, if we need to have more distributors, whatever we have to do to make sure that our products will reach all the nooks and crannies of this country. It is very, very important. And on a lighter note, Mr. Chairman, the jingle was played in a particular language. So as I was listening to this, I started wondering, I said, is it because they use more of that product in that, that side that is that particular language that we are hearing? Mr. Chairman, don't be partial. You have to spread out. Mr. Chairman, yes, my last comments, yes, it's just for emphasis sake. The loss during the course of the year, we need to do something drastically to make sure we come back on stream, because that will enhance every other thing for us to move up. So it is very, very important. Mr. Chairman, thank you for the opportunity given to me to address you this morning. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Don't forget, be brief, straight to the point, and let us know your name. Yes.
Thank you very much.
You have the floor.
I will try to be brief, but I have very important issues to raise. Mr. Chairman, I'm happier today that since after the last meeting, the company secretary has actually changed some of the things with more disclosure and other things. So, Mr. Chairman, riding on the first two speakers, I don't know why directors are not attending this AGM. I am in two boards and I chair one PLC. At the meeting before the AGM, we discussed and agreed on an AGM. We have about 3 major directors that are not attending this meeting today, and there is no apology on their behalf to say why they are not attending. Well, I want to see the acting chairman more as a politician than a boardroom man. Because the way you've been speaking, you are more a politician. It's like going to address people, vote for me, and all this and that. But however, it is inclusive that as the presiding chairman, you must give us a reason why those directors are not at the meeting. So I have few things. I was telling the MD, I said, you know your background from GT. Everything about GT is about profit. And we also know the antecedent of some of the directors. I told him, if you go to page 25 of the annual report, you will see we have started creating subsidiaries. There's one of the directors who came from a company that liked creating subsidiaries. At a stage, they have 45 subsidiaries. At the end of the day, those subsidiaries sank the major company. So we need to be very careful. And you have told us here that even with 7 subsidiaries, it's only one that is, let me just go straight and quote rightly. Page 25. I'm sure the company secretary, you are there, page 25, under subsidiaries. I'm sorry, I've been asked not to talk too much, but I cannot avoid speaking out my mind on issues like this. Okay, under there you said subsidiary companies. And only one of the subsidiaries, Notore Power and Infrastructure Limited, is active out of 7. So we need to be very careful so that we don't create a downfall of the effort of the directors in this respect. I also want to take us through page 23. Under page 23, you see directors' shareholding. Most of the directors you noticed here that you wrote nil-nil. I do not believe that they are nil-nil because there's a major shareholder which they are riding under to come to be directors of the company. So it shouldn't be nil-nil. I think it's under the Mauritius shares. If you look at it there, I'm referring to Ike Osakwe. Also, just go to page 23. They have shares through the indirect holding of Mauritius. And we have to correct that. It's very important. And when you gave us the profile of one of the directors, this is an AGM, Ike Osakwe, you said down there that under his profile, the last 2 paragraphs, they are board appointments, and currently also serve on the board of Oando Thomas Wyatt. He's not on the board of Thomas Wyatt. So you have to cross-check those things. He's not on the board of Thomas Wyatt. When you are in contact with him, tell me that I am the one that said he's not on the board of Thomas Wyatt. Mr. Chairman, let us also quickly go to the following pages, which will help us to page 92. And I'm saying this because of admin. Under page 92, you will see the volume of amount of money that admin expenses took. It's so huge that we have to start looking at admin expenses. in order to return better profit. Page 92. Under page 92, the admin expenses from the turnover took 4.491 billion naira. And if it's well managed, at least we'll be able to get some more money from there to give us an increased profit. So we need to watch our administrative expenses. It's very important. Are you there, Mr. Chairman? Basically, I think this actually concerns the MD to watch the expenses also look at page 31 under donations. 31. I made a remark on page 31. So what I said here is that we need to show more concern in promoting farming issues. Farming issues. When you look at all that we have donations we have made, donation to One community, that is very good because we need a peaceful environment. Scholarship of AITF, to me, that is not as important as promoting the farmers. Support for Nigeria Cricket National Team. All these things, if you look at the whole of that page and all that we have donated, I think the most important thing is for us to promote the farmers because they are the users of our product. And that brings me to issue of what Elijah said. There is one Sally, who also spoke there. He said we should try to reduce the package 12 kg so that it will be very easy for the farmers to buy. And he narrated how difficult it is that the money bags take up all these things. By the time you look for it, you don't get it. He went as far as telling us that from the place of the distributor to the market, 12 miles. And before you get there, they will tell you there is none again. So what you have done by showing us all these things is an eye-opener to us. And I just told the MD, I said, please adopt Saleh's advice because that will help us. We are getting closer to the farmers by adopting Saleh's advice. And what we want is turnover. And from turnover, we'll get a profit. I am also concerned about the loans. Otherwise, we'll get trapped. The loans will overwhelm us that whatever we are making as profit will be going to service the loans and all this and that. There's nothing as good to shareholders getting dividend at the end of every year. Dividend. They will even be happy to approve director's fee. But when there is no dividend, then we cannot even approve director's fee because we are not getting anything too. So it's very important that we have to do and watch the trends of, especially the ones that are in foreign exchange. Because with the unstable foreign exchange position, the whole thing will just be galloping with exchange rates. And we find it difficult to do what we want to do. I am advising the directors, look at it critically and make sure that we don't get trapped with the loans we are taking. It is very easy to collect loans, but repayment is always a problem. I have seen here that we also enjoy central bank loans at 9% or thereabout. And we must also make sure that those central bank loans are used for the purpose of the application. It's very important.
I'm sure you are rounding up now.
Well, If you think what I'm saying is not valuable, then. So if you go to 5 years summary on page 122, on page 122, I want you to look at the accumulated loss there, which stands at 34 billion. We can do some financial we can look at it and use the share premium to reduce that accumulated loss there. It will give us a hope of dividend payment in future. By the time we reduce, I'm sure the auditors are listening on this. We can do some financial jungling there. Use the premium to reduce the accumulated losses, positioning the company for dividend payment within a very short time. Because as it is now, we have to clear all these losses before, and you can think of it to make a profit of 34 billion naira in order to wipe out this. So we use what we have to get what we want, reducing it. I'm sure the auditors will advise on this. We have done it in so many companies. We have 60.124 billion naira premium, 27 billion naira. Can use that and other monies available to us to reduce the accumulated losses. But looking at it, it's very fearful as it is. Somebody thought about raising fresh funds. You are coming to the capital market where they will look at your antecedent over the period of 5 years. Yes, that fund is very cheap, but we must achieve certain level of confidence to the market to be able to do it. Mr. Chairman, I think if I have any other, I can always call Ohis, the MD, to tell him my opinion. But so far, these are some of the things I picked. I also want to thank the company secretary, at least for once, you know, that she showed sympathy. She's been calling me that she will attend this meeting, and she showed sympathy as a mother about my health situation.
Thank you.
So, and I thank God that I am able to stand on my 2 feet to attend this meeting. So, Mr. Chairman, you need some tutelage to really understand how to manage the shareholders and the AGM. It's a professional thing. Don't just look at it anyhow. It's a very professional thing. But once you miss an act there, because I was just looking at you the way you were introducing your board members, you know. The company secretary is always the last to be introduced among the board sitting. So please, company secretary, and Ohis, you need to tutor the chairman before he comes to the AGM, so that we won't be thinking that he's a politician. It should be a professional capital market man. On that note, I want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to represent the number of shareholders. And I want you to quickly create job for our registrars. We believe in our registrars. If you do not create avenue or paying dividend, we cannot see the good work of our registrars. So please, Ohis, I told you you are coming from GT, where profit is very important to everybody in GT. So you must do as well as creating profit here, so that we can pay dividend. I pray that God will help you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. We have 2 people remaining. I'm sure we've had speakers that are very professional in the analysis, and there are people on this side who will equally do justice to explain to you, to allay your fears. And we believe that there's always room for improvement, because that is the essence of quality management. There's always room for improvement. Constructive criticisms will bring out the best within the directors and the management. constructive criticisms. The next speaker, please, help her to be brief. Okay.
Chairman, good afternoon. We are already in the afternoon. The chairman, the board, fellow shareholders. The name is Moses. We will try to be brief. When you look at page 14, something there. It said, doing good while doing well. While what? Doing well. I pick it up as something that struck my mind. While you are doing good and you are doing well, you will be happy. But doing good and you are not doing well is a sign that there is something not happening. Now, why are we not doing? Are we really doing good and doing well? When you look at the account to start with, there are some challenges, and some of the challenges is what I'm going to highlight. Number one, finance costs. Fund. What we need now is how we can manage our finance very well. The loan, the debt, and borrowing that we have accumulated in order to turn around this business. Thank God we have done that to 500,000 metric ton capacity. But when you look at your mission toward the champion of African Green Revolution, do you think that 500 metric ton is enough? Is it enough to even satisfy Nigeria? Fine. So we have a lot of things to do. A lot of re-engineering. We should not be afraid because we are in this financial position. Once you have taken a loan or taken some down payment and you have already been able to achieve the goal of doing the turnaround maintenance and is in most position, the next step is to make a strategic plan of how to repay, not only to repay the loan, but how to what? To increase capacity. Because you have huge market for it. So now the question is that I'm putting before, or the assignment I'm putting before the management and the board is that we need to look ahead where we are going to be in the next 5 years, in the next 10 years, and reposition ourselves. It's very key. That will take us to the page that require what you listed, the right, managing, going to our banker to rework our debt, issuance of bond, and all of that. All of this, what at time, because we need it urgently to do that, because we must make sure that we reduce our finance costs. It's very important going forward. And page 6, board composition. If you look at it, have resigned or he has retired. We don't have, we're having a thing for us. But going forward, at it to make sure we have a chairman or an acting chairman going forward in the next, so that we know that this person piloting the affair. And not only like that, if not because of the secretary, who is a woman that take care of you people there's nobody there. It's a woman. So you need gender, you must be gender sensitive to make sure that when you are coming up trying to reconstitute the board or engineer the board, you must make sure you take a woman or some women, because we have a woman will help in making sure that when the men are hot, the woman will mellow them down. So women, you have to look at that. It's very, very important. Then again, if you look at page 114, contingency liability. Huge amount of money there have increased. Sir, what are we doing to make sure that these court cases are settled amicably? These days, when you sign a contract, there is always putting the alternate dispute resolution, arbitration, and all of that. Is there no way? What are we doing? Because the lawyer will always tell you, as the chairman said the other time, they will write you a love letter and tell you this and that, we have checked, we win. Please, let's find a way how to deal with our own customer or our clients, on how to find the best way to manage all of this one on that very word page, please. Now, finally, what I want to make appeal to, because this account is already historical. Now that we have done the turnaround maintenance, what is the position now? What is the way forward now? Are we making it? Are we trying it to build volume and all of that? How is it performing? Just give us a hope. Just tell us at least what you have done aside of this account, the position. This is where we are going, so that people will understand. Because don't forget, on that page that you want to raise more fund, or you are trying to raise a fund, people are listening, they are watching us and all that. What you say here today will help people to what? To assist. We will calm the nerve of your bankers, whoever that is going to fund, liking to what? To invest in this company. Thank you very much for the opportunity. The name is Ibrude Moses.
Thank you. The last but not the least, I know, introduce yourself, let's know your name, and be brief. Do not forget to make reference to the page we are reading issues from.
Is it one? I can go ahead. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Permit me, sir, to stand on the existing protocol. First and foremost, I want to appreciate the board. Okay, my name is Olugboswario, shareholder. I want to appreciate the board, management, and the office of the company secretary for the invitation to be among the list of persons being invited for this meeting. Well, we just go straight to the point. The previous speakers have spoken so well on issues and way forward for this company. I think the last speaker made mention about asking about the where we are. Probably he wants to know about our Q1 result. And I want to say, on that note, I want to commend the board and management, because I saw that result sent to NHS. But I think we have come out of, we are into profitability, because we did fantastically well in terms of the revenue that brought us back to the present. I think it's commendable. So I will just go straight. I also want to appreciate Mr. Imafu. I think last week he was at the NGS portal where he was rolling out the fact behind the figures of our great company. And I think if shareholders can take time to go and watch that video, I think most of the questions that have been raised there have actually been mentioned by Mr. Efuto and Mr. Imafo about the way forward of this company. I think we have a company. It's like a gold. If the board and management is sincere, because this company, I mean, from that far behind, if you go, I got to know a lot of things that the company is putting in place, and I think that is also commendable. I want to also reach the MD well. Then I think I want to address this issue of free flow deficiency, because I remember I was going through this NGS compliance report, where I read that Notore has the free flow chip about 10% or thereabout. I want to know how are we addressing this deficiency. What are we doing to actually comply with NGS regulation? Then I also want to page 26, where you have this list of key distributors. I would just suggest, if there's any way we can just probably state out those regions where those distributors are, instead of just listing them out, because this annual report goes a long way. Somebody can say, okay, yeah, I want to know where this particular distributor is located. This distributor is in Northwest, is in the Southeast. I think that is also good that we classify them. That if you just be like, okay, this particular distributor is from the north, is from the northern region, from the south, I think that will also go a long way. Then I also want to appreciate the registrar. I think they've done marvelous in terms of making these reports available, like almost more than a month, and they keep on reminding us that the agent of Notore is coming. There was even a time I almost forgot, but that reminder, is wonderful. They've been doing even with GT Bank. That time, they deserve that award. So I also want to mention about. Okay, Mr. Ibrahim mentioned about the board not being gender friendly. I think that one has been there. The issue of the attendance, I think that one has been mentioned, but I just want to ask, the kind of meeting that we do, are they virtual meeting or hybrid? Because I'm just worried why Mr. Labada and even one of the audit committee member was absent.
His microphone, sorry, the microphone. Okay.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think we need explanation why they couldn't attend that meeting. Is that they didn't say, is that we provided virtual platform and they couldn't attend from anywhere they are in the world. We need explanation on that. I think on that note, we rest my case. I want to appreciate Mr. Chairman for steering this meeting. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much. The CEO or his will lead this session and is equally at liberty to invite any of his management staff to clarify any issue. But however, the secretary, the company secretary, is not just only hardworking, she's very humble and respectful. During her introduction, she was not actually introduced as a director, but by virtue of her responsibility here, she needs to sit by me. And I felt it is more expedient to go in an orderly form. So it was not meant to indicate that she's ahead of the directors. And I'm sure our directors understand her very well, and they know the kind of person she is. And occasionally you live by the spirit of the law, not the letters of the law. Oh, his please.
Distinguished shareholders, thank you very much for your comments, questions, suggestions, and concerns you have raised. For me, it's an indication of your desire to ensure that our company continues to grow. If you don't mind, can I sit down to answer
That's what I would like to say, so that you don't use your height to intimidate them. Please sit down.
I have attended several AGMs in my life, but this is the first time I've seen, by my last count and comments and questions, there are 43 in total. It also shows for me your interest in the company, as I said earlier. So I'll try and deal with the questions. Forgive me if I put them into buckets, because some of them are about the same thing. Mr. Adebayo, thank you very much. You spoke about turnaround maintenance, post-stamp, so I'll address all the post-stamp issues. We have now achieved significant reliability in our plant operations post-turnaround maintenance. We're still revving up the capacity and there's still some work to do there, but we are on stream more days now than we have ever been. So the success of that is part of what you're seeing in our Q1 results this year. Your comment on board attendance is noted. I believe every single person made that comment. And it will be dealt with. It will be discussed internally and dealt with. Subsidiaries. Of the subsidiaries that we have, some of them were set up to help pursue the revenue generation strategies that we had in place. Not all of them have taken off. That's why you probably see inactive under some of them. For example, Notore Foods. Our whole rice pilot that we're doing now is going to fall under Notore Foods. But till we finish the pilot and commercialize the sale of rice, we're going to leave Notore Foods. That subsidiary you see is going to continue to show as inactive. So we incubate the ideas in the main company, ensure that it is ready to go public and begin to generate revenues, and then we carve it out. But be rest assured that we are extremely careful about subsidiary investments. Nobody here wants to throw away money. Nobody here wants to waste money. And every investment in any subsidiary will turn into revenue in the not too distant future. I think you asked the question about energy and where we are in terms of our energy, our power plant. I believe you all know that we are in the process of installing additional capacity in terms of our power generation. We are currently installing an LM2500 power plant, gas turbine. It's about 90% complete. Pre-commissioning and commissioning activities will start off in July. Before the end of July, that will be up. Okay, I think you also talked about debt restructure. We are currently in discussions with our bankers. I don't want to confirm now, but it is likely that by the time we sit down here again, we would have completed the final restructure post our turnaround maintenance, such that our loan repayments will be in line with the cash flows we now get from the renewed production. The banks have seen what we have done with TAM. They are happy with it, and conversations are going on, and it is almost completed. We are actually at the documentation stage now. Alaja, could I see, you talked about West African expansion, I believe, and whether we're selling products into West Africa. Indeed, we are. You asked for specific countries. We have sold products into Chad. We have sold products this year into Senegal. We're working with the Sierra Leonean government that has a rice project that they're dealing with, so we've sent them some urea and some rice-specific NPK. And we've also sent some of our extension services staff to go in there to teach them how to use it. For us, what we're trying to do is expand a potential market. Not just Nigeria. Nigeria is by far the biggest market. Not just Nigeria. Nigeria is by far the biggest user of fertilizer in West Africa. But we're making moves to expand into the rest of West Africa, and that has started more than a year ago, and it is bearing fruit. Okay, you talked about earnings per share being negative. Now, the numbers that we're looking at are for the year ended December 31st, 2021. if you see our Q1 numbers for this year, you will see that Notore has returned to profitability. You then spoke about admin expenses. Let me just note that if you look at year-on-year comparison, because December 31st was a 15-month year, the numbers you see there may appear to be exaggerated compared to a 12-month year. But managing our expenses, there are some key, at the high level, there are very few things that we're doing. 1, increase production. 2, sell at the best possible price. 3, manage your expenses. This is what we have done that has translated to a profitable Q1. But thank you for your comments. Thank you for noticing the absolute amount. But be rest assured that we're working on that. Okay, you talked about loans and the effect on our performance. Urea manufacturing is a high capital intensive business. Our revenue plan is to ensure that we reduce the unit cost of production. The fixed cost element is significant. If you can rev up your production, then you find that your unit cost comes down and profitability therefore increases. That is what we're doing. The loans are there. The loans were to finance the business rehabilitation. The loans were to do the turnaround maintenance. Now, having done that, we're driving up production to ensure that we become profitable. And God willing, we have achieved that in Q1, and my expectation is that this current financial year will be a profitable year. My dear friend, Mr. Ibrude. Okay, you talked about finance costs, you talked about production capacity. Finance costs, same explanation. As soon as production goes up, it will cover what the finance cost is. You talked about board members and the gender. It is something that we're also discussing internally, and it is something that you will see that we will address in the not too distant future. You talked about term, post-term, how have we done post-term, and I think I've addressed that. Mr. Ario, thank you for your seeing our Q1 performance. Thank you also for attending the facts behind the figures. With respect to the free flow deficiency you talked about, one of the ways we're trying to address that, and I think we have said that in the past, is we're going to come to the market at some point to raise additional equity, so that also our shares will be in the hands of a whole lot more shareholders. But you can only do that on the back of good performance. So the primary objective is to come back to profitable performance. Once we achieve that, which again, as I said, I strongly believe we're going to achieve this year, we will come to the market, and hopefully that will deal with that. I note your comments about distributor locations. Company Secretary, please note for the next annual report. I think it's a great suggestion. We will include that. And then lastly, everybody has commended the registrars, so I think I myself should add my commendation to their performance. And thank you, shareholders.
No, we're through that one. We're through question and answer. Yeah. So I want to thank everybody, those that ask questions. It is your right, and your contributions will definitely help to move the company forward. And I want to thank the CEO too for brilliantly attending to your questions. We cannot run away from the fact that we are operating in a difficult environment. And there are issues that are beyond the control of everybody. But having said that, we already see light at the end of the tunnel. And we prayed before we started, and I know we are still going to pray before we close. And the God we serve will hear our prayers and answer our prayers. Now, I hereby move that the companies and the company's audited accounts and the financial statement for the year ended 31st December 2021, and the report of the directors, the auditors, and the audit committee thereto laid before the meeting be and hereby received. May I please have a seconder from the floor? Thank you. So we don't need to look at them on that here. Following the satisfactory service of the auditors in the outgoing year, the company is desirous of reappointing them as our external auditors to the company. Section 401, subsection 2 of the Companies and Allied Matters Act 2020 provide that a retiring auditor, however appointed, shall be reappointed without any resolution being passed. So, Mr. Deloitte and Toshi have indicated their willingness to continue as external auditors. I hereby move that they be and are hereby reappointed as the company's external auditors in compliance with section 401, subsection 2 of the Companies and Allied Matters Act 2020, and on the recommendation of the directors. May I please have a seconder? Now, microphone, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Prince Engineer Tobun Olaiwola. I rise to second the motion. Thank you.
Thank you very much. With the motion seconded, could all those in favor of the motion and those against the motion signify by voting accordingly on the electronic voting pad?
You have 10 seconds left. 6, 5, 2, 1. Voting is over. Chairman, at the end of this voting, 100% of shareholders present in person or by proxy voted in favor of the resolution. There were 4 shareholders who abstained on this resolution. Thank you.
Following the results are provided by the registrars, I hereby declare that the motion has been duly carried, which means Dolete Atoshe are hereby reappointed as the company's external auditors. Section 408, subsection 1B of the Companies and Allied Matters Act 2021 provides that the remuneration of the external auditors of a company shall be fixed by the company in general meeting or in such manner as the company in general meeting may determine. I hereby move that the directors of the company be and are hereby authorized to fix the remuneration of the external auditors for the financial year ending 31st December 2022, and in compliance with Section 408, subsection 1B of the Companies and Allied Matters Act 2020. May I please have a seconder from the floor? Microphone for him, yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I, Makonju Oladayo Abdoyekin, I second the motion.
Could all those in favor of the motion and those against the motion signify by voting accordingly on the electronic voting pad?
Voting has started, please. Voting is over. At the end of voting, 100% of shareholders present in person or by proxy voted in favor of the resolution. Thank you.
Thank you. Following the results are provided by DataMax, I hereby declare that the motion has been duly carried. Section 274 of the Companies and Allied Matters Act 2020 provide that the Board of Directors may appoint new directors to fill any casual vacancy arising out of death, resignation, retirement, or removal, or where a casual vacancy is filled by the director, the person may be approved by the general meeting at the next annual general meeting. I hereby move that the appointment of Mr. Ebiaho Emafo, you will stand.
Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Is it an observation?
Yeah.
Okay, can we hear your observation, please?
The AGM does not appoint executive director. The AGM appoints a director. So the question of being executive or anything is in the hands of the board members at the board meeting. So what you need here is that we should give you approval to appoint a director. That's all you need. And apart from that, we need to be very careful. You know, in this annual report, the same person you are asking us to give you an approval to appoint as an executive director is already a deputy managing director in this annual report. So can you please explain to us what is the mix-up about?
Maybe you may want to hear the company secretary.
No, I have no right to over the company. You are the chairman, you are the presiding chairman. You should be able to give us an answer.
Well, as the presiding chairman, I equally have the authority to ask anybody to assist me considering the fact that there is division of labor, there are responsibilities. The company secretary or the secretary, they have to advise the board on certain issues, whether we've done it rightly or wrongly. So I have not abdicated my responsibility. I only allow her to say a word or two on it. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Okay.
So
we'll take it.
Your comments are noted. The board had done this appointment as a director, but as you well know, we need to bring it to the shareholders for ratification, which is what we are doing now. With respect to the annual report, I need to check what exactly was done there, but kindly let us proceed as requested for the ratification. Thank you, sir. As a director. Yes, as a director, yes. Yes. The request is to ratify his appointment as a director. Okay, thank you.
So having said that, so you should second the motion, or you should move the motion, since you don't like the word as executive director, but as a director. Yes.
I am actually exercising my 50 years in the capital market. It has never happened that way. What we do is to approve the list of directors. The board will now appoint whoever they want as executive director. He remains executive director before us once it's done by. So we have no right to appoint a chairman. We have no right to appoint as a deputy managing director or a managing director. These are functions of the board. That's what I'm bringing to your notice.
Now, having made your observation, it is not out of place to hear other people.
Yes, fine.
So, and we can throw it to the floor.
I'm not taking this mic home. I'm not taking it home.
Okay. But having said that, the point I thought, if I got you right, yes, as a director, but not as executive director.
Exactly.
So, and that was the point. I should at that point, I said, okay, you should second the motion.
That is what they call insiders dealing. And I will not be involved in insiders dealing. Any other person can move the motion.
Okay, no problem. Thank you, yes.
Mr. Chairman, the name is William Adibai. I move that motion that a director is being brought forward for ratification. Is that fair?
Thank you.
I so second, Mr. Chairman.
Seconded, right?
Engineer MOT Olaiwola Tobu is my name. Thank you.
Thank you. We can easily put it to vote. Those that are for and those that are against. Can we quickly vote?
You have 10 seconds left for voting. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Voting is over. At the end of voting, 100% of shareholders present in person or by proxy voted in favor of this resolution, with 2 shareholders abstaining on the resolution. Thank you.
Based on the result, the motion is carried and Mr. Ebiaho Emafo as Director of Notore. Thank you very much. In accordance with the provisions of section 285, subsection 3 of the Companies and Allied Matters Act 2020, unless it is expressly resolved not to fill such vacated office, a retiring director is, if offering himself for re-election, deemed to have been re-elected. The following directors who have been discharged their responsibility creditably are due to retire by rotation and being eligible have offered themselves to be for re-election. The first person, I'm sure you all know him, and that is in accordance with the provisions of section. No, I've already read that. Okay. The first person on the list is Mr. Onajite Okoloko. I hereby move that in accordance with the provisions of section 2851 of the Companies and Allied Matters Act 2020, Mr. Onajite Okoloko retired at this annual general meeting by rotation and being eligible for re-election, B, and is hereby re-elected. May I have a seconder from the floor? Sorry, you know, a little bit to the right, a little bit to the left. Yes, my friend.
Thank you, Chairman. My name is Rose Kenneth. I second that motion.
Thank you. As usual, we put it to vote.
You have 3 more seconds. The voting is over. Excuse me. At the end of voting, a total of 213 shareholders present in person or by proxy voted in favor of this resolution, representing 100% in favor. Thank you.
Following the results are provided by the registrar, I hereby declare that the motion has been duly carried. Mr. Najite Okoloko has been re-elected as the director. The next is Mr. Mike Jackson. I hereby move that in accordance with the provisions of Section 285, Subsection 1 of the Companies and Allied Matters Act 2020, Mr. Mike Jackson, retiring at this annual general meeting by rotation, have been eligible for re-election, B, and is hereby re-elected. May I please have a seconder from the floor? The ladies were more protesting, so, and I know the ladies, they like Americans a lot.
Thank you very much, my chairman. The name is Baka Juliet. I second that motion. Thank you.
Can we put it for vote as usual, please?
Voting is on, please. Voting is over. At the end of voting, 3 shareholders abstained on this resolution. However, 100% of shareholders present in person or by proxy voted in favor of the resolution. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Following the results are provided by the registrars, I hereby declare that the motion has been duly carried and Mr. Mike Jackson formally re-elected as the director of the company. The next person is Mr. Michael Osimhen. I hereby move that in accordance with the provisions of Section 285, Subsection 1 of the Companies and Allied Matters Act 2020, Mr. Mike Osimhen, retiring at the annual general meeting by rotation, have been eligible for re-election, B, and is hereby re-elected. Any seconder? I said I'll be moving right, so yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Engineer Bini Yosharafa Teju. I second the motion.
Can we put it to vote as usual?
Seven more seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Voting is over. At the end of voting, Mr. Chairman, 100% of shareholders present in person or by proxy voted in favor of the resolution. Thank you.
Following the results as provided by the registrars, I hereby declare that the motion has been duly carried and Mr. Michael Osime declared and elected as a director of the company. The next is Mr. Ovie Ukiri. I hereby move that in accordance with the provisions of Section 285, subsection 1 of the Companies and Allied Matters Act 2020, Mr. Ovie Ukiri, retiring at this annual general meeting by rotation, have been eligible for re-election, B, and is hereby re-elected. May I please have a seconder from the floor? Yes, let's hear from the lady behind. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The name is Oduniga Samiat. I hereby second the motion.
Can we vote as usual?
Voting is on, please. Voting is over. Mr. Chairman, 3 shareholders abstained on this resolution. However, 100% of those who voted, either in person or by proxy, voted in favor of the resolution. Thank you.
Following the results are provided by the registrar, I hereby declare that the motion has been duly carried and Mr. Ovie Ukiri is hereby re-elected as a director of Notore. Now, sections 238 and 257 of the Companies and Allied Matters Act require that every company at a general meeting shall disclose the remuneration of managers of the company. I hereby draw attention of the shareholders to page 113 of the 2001 annual report. Page 113 of the 2021 annual report, which contains a detailed report of the remuneration of the managers at the company. And I suggest that they be taken as read. Section 404, subsection 6 of the Companies and Allied Matters Act 2020 requires that the nominations to the Statutory Audit Committee shall be in writing and shall be delivered to the company secretary at least 20 days before the annual general meeting. The Act required that membership of the Statutory Audit Committee should be a maximum of 5 members, consisting of 2 non-executive directors and 3 representatives of the shareholders of the company. 4 nominations were received by the company secretary for election into the committee. That is from the shareholders. However, one of the nominees withdrew his nomination, leaving 3 nominees for election into the committee. The 3 valid nominees are as follows. Alhaji Ali Yusuf Ali, nominated by our Partners Ventures Limited. Mr. Mubashiru Abdulaziz, nominated by Haskamu and Sons Limited. Alhaji Kamilu Haski, nominated by Ayuma Ventures and Investment Limited. Being that the requirement is for the appointment of the shareholder representatives, I will have only 3 valid nominations. We therefore wish to present the above named nominees as the shareholder representatives on the audit committee. At this time, I would like to present the directors who have been nominated by the board of directors to serve as members of the audit committee for the for the financial year ending 31st December 2022. The directors nominated by the directors are as follows. Mr. I. Osakwe, who is attending okay. Mr. I.K. Osakwe, then Engineer Michael Orubo, Justice of Peace. They'll be joined by Alhaji Ali Yusuf Ali, Mr. Mudashiru Abdulaziz, and Alhaji Kamilu Haski, be the shareholders' representatives to serve as the members of the statutory audit committee of the company for the year 2022 financial year until the next AGM. Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes the ordinary business of the day. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, this concludes the business of this meeting, and I thank all of you attending this meeting, which I now declared closed. I advise that we all continue. No, I'm coming. You want to say something there? Okay. I advise that we all continue to observe all health and regulatory advisory. I pray that we all remain safe. Thank you. But we started with prayer, and we are closing with prayers. We started with a Muslim prayer, and we are closing with a Christian prayer. And I know for the Christians, in most cases, you rise up for prayers. Can we all rise for closing prayers? Please. And I call on Pastor Williams to lead us in the closing prayers.
May we be all standing. Our Father, our God, and our Maker. Father Jehovah, we thank you for this beautiful day. We thank you that you gave us the grace to be here, and you gave us a brighter day. We started the meeting without rancor, and we ended it without rancor. As we are leaving for our respective destination, we beseech thee to grant us the necessary journey mercies. And as for our director, please bestow them with more wisdom and understanding to take this company to greater heights. These and many more we have through our Lord Jesus Christ. Amen. Thank you.
Thank you. See you again next year. Thank you.
Nigeria's smallholder farmers number over 14 million out of the country's 150 million citizens. On average, they only get about 16 bags of maize per hectare, whereas farmers in South Africa get an average of 88 bags per hectare. Why is this so? One reason is that smallholder farmers in Nigeria are only using average of 8 kg per hectare of fertilizer as compared to roughly 30 kg per hectare in Kenya and 190 kg per hectare in Brazil.
Matsalolin samun takin zamani a gwamnatance a wannan yanki namu yana zama mana da matsala. Sakamakon ba kowa yake da karfin da zai samu takin ba, kuma yayin zama mana idan baka da uwa a gindin murhu, wato baka da kansila ko wani makamancin haka, ba zai zama mana da matsalar samun takin. Sannan kuma gashi a kasuwar ma idan ka je zaka same shi a 50 kg, yana sa mai karamin karfi ba zai iya samun takin da zai iya amfani da shi a wannan shekara ba. Muna da matsala ta nisan wuri tsakaninmu da guraren da zamu je mu sayo wannan taki ya kai kilomita 12. Sannan ga hanyar mu ba ta da kyau. Idan ka tafi ma ba tabbacin ka je ka samu a ranar ka je ka dawo. Sannan ga na kasuwar ma ba shi da inganci wanda za mu auno mu zo mu yi aiki. Kuma ana bukatar ilimi akan harkar noman zamani, amma gaskiya mu nan yankin ma ba mu taɓa ganin malamin gona.
One Nigerian fertilizer company is helping farmers to deal with these challenges. Notore Chemical Industries Limited, previously the government-owned NAFCON, is now a 100% privately owned Nigerian fertilizer company. In 2010, they sold top-quality fertilizers in small packs in 150 communities across Nigeria. By providing training to farmers from the rural retailers, farmers are also getting the knowledge they need on how to correctly apply the fertilizer.
We receive training by Notore Chemical Industries companies to become a village promoter, that is BP. We also sell fertilizer 1 kg system at afford price. Notore also train us on the way how to use fertilizer in our farm in order to educate people. So they tell us that the day of planting, the day of putting fertilizer, when you dig a hole, put a seed at one side and put a seed in other side at the same hole, then close it. That is the best way of applying the fertilizer. The second way is that if you don't have time to put it the day of planting, then after 10 to 14 days, you come and dig the hole between spacing so that you will put your fertilizer and close the hole. That is the second way. I trained 16 farmers. They have seen improvement in their crops. I will train more and supply more to the farmers during this coming wet season.
Malam Haruna, PP, ya gayyace ni zuwa gonar gwaji. Mun samu ilimi, mun samu taki a gurinsa da sauki, ba sai mun aiki ƴaƴanmu sun siyo mana ba. Shuka kwaya ɗaya da murfin kwalban lemo ɗaya na taki, kuma na sa na rufe, ta yi girma sosai, ta yi girma, ta yi babbar kwaya. Ina samun buhu 4, yanzu na samu buhu 6. Na samu ƙarin yawan kuɗi wanda ya fi na bara, domin in sai takin da ya fi na bara in haɓaka noma na.
Ni ma na gani takin nan da ake gwadawa a makwabtanmu suna sayarwa, zan yi kokari in je in saye shi wannan na kilo ɗaya domin in gwada a gonata. Don gaskiya mun gaji da gafara sa ba mu ga kaho ba, ma'ana za a bamu amma har da mana ta wuce ba za a bamu.